Hello, everyone. Rundown host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. Today is Taco Tuesday.
It's raining tacos from out of the sky. Tacos, no need to ask why. Just open your mouth and close your eyes. It's raining tacos. It's raining tacos out in the street. Tacos, all you can eat. Lettuce and shells, cheese and meat. It's raining tacos. Yum, 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 yummity yum. It's like a dream.
That's right, folks. It is like a dream. Tacos raining from the sky that would actually be very, very nice. I would very much enjoy some tacos raining from the, well, I guess it depends on where they come from and what sky and how polluted that sky may be. And well, yeah, anyway, who knows? Has it been inspected? No, okay, just being funny. Anyway, folks, we're having a good time here at the Rundown. Interesting things are happening all across the country, whether it's bracing for the 250th or recognizing the 250th birthday of the Army, whether it's preparing for the big military parade that's taking place this weekend, whether it's checking out what's going on with the No Kings events that are taking place all across the country. Basically, they're anti-Trump events. All that having been said, there's lots of interesting things to talk about, lots of things in the news today, and we're going to have a very, very good time talking about them. But we're going to start doing what we normally do, and that is we're going to start with a quick shout out to our sponsors because that's how we pay the bills. We're going to start with Hitman Industries rifle and pistol caliber barrels, available for you to purchase at any length. If you've purchased an AR in the last few years, chances are you already have one of their barrels, so why not get another? Just go to hitmanindustries.net. Check them out today. And then you've got the California Republican Assembly working to help elect conservatives at all levels of government, from school board all the way up to President of the United States. Ronald Reagan once referred to CRA as the conscience of the Republican Party. All you have to do to learn more about them is go to cragop.org. That's cragop.org. If you want to be a part of California's future today, you got to join CRA. And then we've got the best in concealed carry tactical holsters available on the market. All you have to do is go to hogholsters.com. When you go there, make sure you use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces, one word, just like it is right up there, and you're going to get a discount on us. Make sure, once again, go to hogholsters.com. That's HAWG holsters.com, helping Americans wear guns. And then finally, if you are a purchasing agent, if you purchase for a group, whether it be, whether it be a club, whether it be your department, whether it be, your unit, your military unit, you need to check out uscombatgear.com. They have just about everything you're looking for: outdoor gear, indoor gear, cold weather gear, hot weather gear. They've got everything that you could be looking for. And by the way, they have the best in customer service available on the market. Just go to uscombatgear.com, where you can find all things tactical except the gun. All right, folks, that now brings us to our stories today. What could be going on? What could be going on these days? So our first story today is, a continuation of what's been happening, pretty much all weekend, but largely also a continuation of our story from yesterday. And that has to do with, the pro-illegal immigrant riots that are taking place, that are popping, and then by the way, they're popping up all over the country. And I want to be very clear. I want to make sure we call them what they are, and that is they are pro-illegal immigrant rallies. Now, keep in mind, what is taking place, or what was taking place in the city of Los Angeles that has sparked all of this outrage, that has sparked all of this controversy, is simply that the Trump administration is exercising their right or their responsibility to seek out specifically criminal illegal aliens, meaning those who are in this country who have committed crimes, right? We know that they have committed crimes, And by the way, some of those folks who have committed crimes, the crime is actually being here illegally. And I say that because these are folks who they're looking for who've already been before a judge. Their case has already been adjudicated and they have a deportation order. They're going into communities and they're looking for these folks in order to deport them. So none of these are folks who are supposed to be here, and a bunch of them are criminals, right? Are known criminals. We're talking rapists. We're talking robbers. We're talking muggers. We're talking child rapists. These are the folks among the group of folks that are actually being deported. And so when I say that there are pro criminal illegal alien riots taking place across the country or popping up across the country, I am being quite accurate in that assessment. This is a piece written over by Associated Press. It says here protests over immigration raids popping up across the country with more planned. Protests that sprang up in Los Angeles over immigration enforcement raids and prompted President Donald Trump, to mobilize National Guard troops and Marines have begun to spread across the country with more planned into the weekend. From Seattle to Austin and Washington, D.C., marchers have chanted slogans, carried signs against the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, and snarled traffic through downtown avenues and outside federal offices. While many were peaceful, some have resulted in clashes with law enforcement as officers made arrests and used chemical irritants to disperse crowds. Activists are planning more and even larger demonstrations in the coming days with so-called No Kings events across the country on Saturday to coincide with Trump's planned military parade in Washington. The Trump administration said it would continue its program of raids and deportations despite the protests. Quote, ICE will continue to enforce the law, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem posted Tuesday on social media. So let's be clear. They're focusing on, they're calling them deportations and raids, but and that's what they kind of are. That's what they are. But this is about enforcement of the law. In other words, when you have Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass talk about, well, the Trump administration instigated this, or when you have Gavin Newsom claiming that this is all Trump's fault, it is Donald Trump's fault because he is enforcing the law. What law? Our immigration law. To deport who? To deport people who have committed crimes here in the United States. To deport people who have already been before an immigration judge and have already been deemed to be here illegally. So in other words, what these Democrats are saying is Donald Trump is guilty of causing all of this because he is enforcing the law. How ass backwards is that? I mean, these are the folks who are calling him unhinged. He's unhinged because he is enforcing the law. And I need y'all to remember that. I need you to focus on if California and cities like Los Angeles and San Francisco and Sacramento, in Oakland, in the state of California, did not have policies called sanctuary policies that made it so that their law enforcement could not coordinate or work with or discuss people who are in this country illegally and have committed crimes with ICE, this wouldn't be happening. See, because ICE would then be going to the jails and grabbing the people there instead of going to the neighborhoods. Excuse me. And grabbing people there instead of going to Home Depot and grabbing people there. They are going there because, well, the government of California, the Karen Basses, the Gavin Newsoms, won't allow law enforcement to do their jobs in the state of California. But Donald Trump is unhinged. Donald Trump is the criminal. No. Y'all are criminal because y'all are aiding and abetting the criminal activities of people who aren't even supposed to be in this country. You would rather have them on the streets. And here's the funniest part. You're releasing them on the streets in neighborhoods that are already being victimized by criminals. In other words, you're releasing them into places like San Francisco, like Oakland, like Los Angeles. They're on the streets committing crimes against the very people, in many cases, who are out there protesting. Well, in some cases. And I say that I say that for this reason, because a lot of the people who are out there protesting are professional agitators. They are people who are not interested in enforcing the law. They're not interested in the betterment of America. They care about one thing. They care about overthrowing America. They care about creating, and they care about the anarchy. And all you have to do, if you want to know whether or not they believe in anarchy, every time they take action, what happens? What happens? When Donald Trump first got elected in 2016, what happened? Violent riots. What happened? What happened when with the whole George Floyd thing? Violent riots, right? What happened? What's happened? What happened when? What's happening right now? Violent riots. And don't let anybody tell you that these riots are not violent. All you have to do, you can go anywhere online and you can just look up Los Angeles ICE riots, and you will find videos, you will find images of riots. And I get that not all of them are violent, but every single one that is violent started off as a quote unquote mostly peaceful protest. So stop telling me they're peaceful. Stop telling me they're peaceful, because they are not. They are 100% not peaceful. Anyway, that's what's going on. Is right now these things are popping up all across the country. So if you are in Sacramento, if you are in Austin, if you are in Seattle, if you are in Portland, if you are in Washington D.C., look forward to the violence and the riots and the looting. You can't have an effective, mostly peaceful protest without looting, and the looting. It's all coming to you. You're going to get a chance to enjoy it. So just, once again, it's coming. Be ready. And by the way, this stuff is being funded by somebody. And I'll tell you who one of the people is being funding it. It's George Soros, right? George Soros based organizations pay for a lot of the stuff that you see popping up, a lot of the signs, a lot of the travel. George Soros funds and pays professional agitators to travel across the country and participate in these riots. He pays for them to be able to come and burn down your city. So just know that George Soros pays for that. But it's all part of his plan, because his whole goal is he wants to create anarchy, and part of creating anarchy is to make sure that laws aren't enforced. People wouldn't be tripping it probably as much if we in California here actually enforced the law, but we don't. We had a law that decriminalized a lot of crime called Prop 47. And so you had people who were walking into stores and walking out with shopping carts full of stuff, and nobody could do anything about it, because if it wasn't at least $950, it wasn't a crime, or at least it wasn't a felony. So no police were showing up. Nobody was getting arrested. People were just stealing right and left. You got people crapping on the ground in the middle of San Francisco. It's so bad they have a map where they've mapped out all the places where you'll find poop in San Francisco. Absolutely no law enforcement. Californians were so fed up with it. They voted and passed a Proposition 36, which rolled back some parts of Proposition 47. It said, we've got to have some law and order. We got to have some rules that people have to follow. Every single county in the state of California voted to support this initiative, Proposition 36. And the governor of California and the legislature of California refused to put any money in the budget to actually fund its enforcement. So no wonder people think, well, the law doesn't mean anything in the state of California. Why would they? The law doesn't mean anything to the lawmakers. The law doesn't mean anything to the top officials who are responsible for enforcing the law. So why should they? Why should they believe that the law should matter? In this particular case, we're talking about immigration law, partially. We're also talking about other laws that those who broke our immigration laws have enforced. Well, it's all part of a process to further, once again, erode the respect for law and law enforcement in our country that George Soros is funding. And that is part of an effort to not just do it, by the way, here in places like the state of California, but he's looking to do it in places like Texas, as George Soros has a pack to law blue Texas, an effort for after Democrats failed to flip the state. In other words, they've failed. They've tried time and time again, despite the fact that many, many people have left places like California and left places like New York and moved to Texas. They failed to be able to flip those states and turn them into the same Democratic hellholes that they've turned California into. Well, it says here, according to reports by Breitbart, Democrats are reportedly gearing up to try and flip Texas blue with help from leftist billionaire and mega donor George Soros. The group, known as Texas Majority PAC, is set to launch its Blue Texas initiative on Monday, according to the Wall Street Journal. The newspaper said the Texas Democrat Party and other county parties will join the effort that will culminate in the midterm elections next year. Soros has tried but failed in the past to turn Texas blue by throwing millions of dollars into the effort. The Wall Street Journal article said he recently donated $1 million to the Texas Majority PAC. Now, this is from the Wall Street Journal. Texas has been a Republican stronghold for decades, providing the GOP with its largest batch of electoral votes and supporting President Trump in each of the past three presidential elections. The growth in the state's Hispanic population during the past 2 decades has raised hopes among Democrats. But those demographic shifts have done little to change the balance of power. Earlier organizing efforts by Democrats, such as through groups like Battleground Texas, have failed to yield significant results. Democrats haven't won a statewide election since 1994, and Trump generated his largest margin of victory in Texas last year, defeating former Vice President Kamala Harris by nearly 14 percentage points. Republicans have won every presidential election in Texas since 1980, and the last Democratic U.S. Senator to win election in the state was Lloyd Bentsen in 1988. Now, once again, I think there's a couple of things. One, they're right. Democrats have tried to depend on, and they really honestly and truly believe that uh, Latinos, no matter what, because they're people of color, are going to vote Democrat. Now, what they're finding though is that not only are immigrants who are coming to the United States, as a matter of fact, especially Democrats who are coming, sorry, uh, Latino or Hispanic migrants who are coming to the United States, not only are they not becoming Democrats, but a lot of Latinos who are already here, who were born here, are shifting their allegiances to from the Democratic Party. Many are going decline to state, many are going Republican, but that's largely because the Democratic Party does not represent their positions. Many people who live in this country, who came to this country legally, they're against illegal immigration, and yet you wouldn't know that by how the Democrats carry themselves, right? They're the ones that are pushing to trans the children, right? That are pushing for pornography in our public schools. They're the ones that are pushing things like DEI, right? They are the ones who are, once again, also, as I said before, pushing illegal immigration. And and many people, once again, people who went through the process legally, They're like, no, we don't want that. We want legal immigration. Yes, I want my family to be able to come here, but I want legal immigration, and I want to make it easier for them if they can provide value to this country. I want to make it easier for them to be able to come here. But it ain't working. But anyway, but so then you've got that, and then you've got a lot of people. Then they're also counting on, as I said before, they're counting on people who are leaving California because they can't afford to experience the American dream here in the Golden State. They're counting on them to bring their stinking thinking with them. Well, some of them have, right? There are some people who clearly don't, they see the land of opportunity outside of the state of California now where they can own a home and they can afford to live. But they don't understand that the reason why California became so unaffordable is because of the policies of the Democrat supermajorities in both houses and the Democrats who control both houses of the legislature and every single constitutional office. They don't get that. They haven't tied that together. So some of them, yes. And it's been successful in places like Colorado, in places like Nevada, and in places like Arizona to make those states, which were once solidly red states, to make them, or at least purple states, to make them either purple or red. But a lot of them haven't, because a lot of the people leaving are conservatives. So anyway, they're going to invest more money into it. And I think one of the things you're going to start to see is if Democrats, if you want to win back some of the folks that you lost, stop being so extremist. Stop being so anti-man. Stop being so anti-children. Stop being so anti-free enterprise and free market, right? Stop being so anti-cop. Start supporting public safety. Start supporting securing our southern border, right? Become less about regulation. Stop passing policies that make it so expensive to live in places like California. And maybe, just maybe, you'll start to get them back. Just maybe some of these folks will start to come back your way. But as long as your values are all screwed up, nobody's going to want you. Nobody's going to want to elect your folks. And what I'm appreciating is I'm liking seeing the worse you do, the more you are doubling down on your bad policies. And the American people recognize you for who you are. And they are saying, no, 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 we're not down with that. So congratulations, American people. You are doing quite well in standing up for what you know to be true. Now, this next story here, I'm going to hit on it real quick. School shooting in Austria leaves at least 9 dead. Now, I know everybody believes that mass shootings or school shootings only happen in the United States of America, which is why this one is so kind of horrific. Now, Austria, among all of the nations in the European Union, probably has some of the most lenient gun laws, but they're still nowhere near the United States. They're still much more restrictive than we are here in the United States. But let's go ahead and read some of this story written by our good friend Mr. Tom Knighton over at Bearing Arms. It says, how many times have you been told that mass shootings are uniquely an American thing? Probably a lot. Many people seem to believe that, and most of those feel no qualms about saying it over and over again. Yet the truth is that they're not, especially not as most people think of them. Over the years, I've written about numerous examples of mass shootings in other countries. It was never comprehensive. War atrocities and crime-related massacres, for example, aren't the same thing in my mind, but I've written about them. Today, I'm unfortunately writing about one more in the Austrian city of Graz. And this here it says several students and at least one adult, as well as a suspected shooter, were among the dead, which was confirmed. Calling it a terrible tragedy, the mayor said that many injured had been taken to the hospital. The perpetrator, who acted alone, has been described by local media as 22-year-old former student who had been a victim of bullying in school. The city's mayor, Elk Carr, I say Elkie Carr. Anyway, I'm always bad with pronouncing foreign names. Anyway, reported that 9 had been killed in what she called terrible tragedy, uh, revising an earlier report of the death toll of 10. That's why we have at least, because of earlier it was 10. Anyway, gunshots and screams have been heard from the footage near the school and has been reported by the Telegraph. It says here, now this is going back, now this is Tom. Now this seems to still be a developing situation as I write this, so who knows what the final tally will be, but it's still a tragedy just the same. Austria, as is usual throughout the European Union, has a lot of gun control laws on the books. They're not as terrible as some European gun laws go, mind you, but they're not exactly the kind that measures. They're not exactly the kind of measures that fly in the American Deep South either. Permitting is required for any firearm with a good reason needing to be provided. Though, unlike many states, pre Bruin, self defense is considered a good reason, and different kinds of guns guns require different kinds of licenses. Of course, a carry permit, which is also a shall issue thing, trumps all other licenses apparently. Um, anyway, all this having been said, this is a terrible tragedy. And once again, this is a place that has many of the gun control measures that many in other states would love to see them have, or the people in here in the United States or gun grabbers would love to see them have, but they got them, and it happens. The thing is that once again, one has to wonder if there had been a firearm at this school, and once again, we don't know if there was or there wasn't, but I'm going to guess that there wasn't. If there had been armed security at this school, how many people would still be alive? One has to wonder. I'll report more on it later if I hear any new stuff. But once again, I'll be wholly honest. It's purely conjecture. I am just guessing that no was not armed security because, well, it is the European Union. I think it's a safe bet. Anyway, speaking of schools and things that should not happen in schools, how about a drag? How about teachers encouraging kids to dress in drag? That's right. That is exactly what you had happen at a middle school in Oregon. It says here, Oregon Middle School hosts Drag Day, encouraging students to cross dress during Pride Week. An Oregon middle school encouraged students to dress up as drag queens and their favorite queer hero this week in celebration of Pride Month. But one parent said families weren't notified ahead of time. At the Arts and Technology Academy in the Eugene School District 4J, students celebrated Pride Spirit Week with a different theme each day intended to celebrate the LGBTQ community, according to a memo obtained by Fox News Digital. On Monday, students were encouraged to, quote, wear as many colors as they could for Rainbow Out Day. On Tuesday, they were told to wear all black, quote, in remembrance of lost members of the LGBTQIA plus community. Wednesday was Drag Day, quote, Drag Day, where students were told to, quote, dress like a drag queen, king, monarch, or dress up as a different gender. Thursday was Queer Hero Day, where students picked their favorite queer hero, such as Freddie Mercury or Chappelle Roan. The week's events concluded with Pride Flag Day, Pride Flag Friday, where students were told to dress up as the pride flag of your choice. The parents who spoke to Fox News Digital said that the school principal sent out a notice to parents about Pride Week on Monday afternoon, about 15 minutes after students were let out for the day. The email also said that that weekly activities would coincide with learning in the classroom about, quote, the history of LGBTQ plus civil rights movement. The parent was surprised to learn that the activities after the week had already kicked off and wondered why the school hadn't shared the families in advance. According to Oregon state law, schools are required to notify parents and guardians ahead of instruction on human sexuality. Now, one of the things that people are going to try and argue is they're going to say, well, is this really about human sexuality or just talking about a community that exists? Is this not about equality? Well, I'm sorry, this is a group that specifically is identified by their sexuality. So, yes, it's about human sexuality. There's no getting around that. There's absolutely positively no getting around that. So, yes, the parents should have been notified. Yes, the parents should have been given an opportunity to opt their kids out, keep them home from school, not have them participate in any of this, not have them exposed to any of this. They should have had the ability to do that. But they were not allowed because they weren't even told, because they know that if they had, some parents would have decided, no, I'm not going to expose my children to that. Or they would have sent their kids to school and their kids would have been there with communicating a very different message. Like the kid who got kicked out of school for wearing a t-shirt that said there are only two genders. Right? I mean, they don't want the other side. They don't want the other perspective. They don't want there to be a real discussion about these things. And I'm not saying, I don't know that middle school is the place to have it. I'm not saying that there shouldn't be a discussion about it, but it needs to be a discussion. All sides need to be communicated in this discussion. And, if you decide, if you only have one side of a perspective, if you only have one side of a discussion, that is not education. That is, in fact, indoctrination. And that's exactly what you heard kind of coming out of the Supreme Court when they were talking about this issue. Was that, yeah, no, this amounts to pretty much just indoctrination. Once again, I'm not opposed to the idea of it being a part of your social studies. But you got to have it in context. And that means the complete context, the whole context. You can't just say, we're going to do one thing. We're just going to promote one side of an argument. Because like I said before, that is not education, that is indoctrination. And only a fool would subject themselves or their children to that form of indoctrination. Anyway, that brings us to our parting shots, which are brought to you by Hog Holsters. If you want to get a Hog Holster, just go to hogholsters.com. Use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces. Get your Hog Holster on discount today. This first one is brought to you by a gentleman named Mr. Nick Freitas. You probably have heard of him, YouTube sensation or social media sensation, shall we say. He is currently a member of the not Florida. He's currently a member of the Virginia state legislature, I believe, although he is not running for re-election. But this piece right here, well, let's just say this. He kind of hits Gavin Newsom right between the eyes.
All right, credit where credit is due. Governor Gavin Newsom has finally recognized that there's a serious problem in Los Angeles, and so he has deployed armed law enforcement in order to force compliance and tell one of the organizations fostering these riots that they could, in fact, lose their license for non-compliance. Oh, wait, that wasn't for what's going on right now. That was back in 2021, where he sent armed law enforcement into a preschool in order to threaten taking away someone's license because they wouldn't force 2-year-olds to mask up. Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. That's Gavin Newsom for you. That's actually who Gavin Newsom is. Sad to say, but it is. Anyway, this next one is hilarious, but also from the in place. You'll love this one. It's by the way, this one is generated by AI for those of you who are wondering.
Okay, so we're in the middle of the icy riots here in LA. People are screaming. I think I just saw a cop throw hands with a furry, and Greg's trying to light a damn dart. Okay, so I think it's time I get the fuck out of here. Someone said the Marines are coming, and I don't know where Greg is, so let me know where I should go next.
Yeah, that was, for those of you who were not paying attention, that was a gorilla. That's why I told you it was AI generated, but it was hilarious. I thought y'all would find it funny. This next one, also from the riots. I wanted to share this one with you. Because now it's a little hard because I have to do it actually from Facebook. I do it from Facebook, so I'm not sure if the sound's going to come across. So I'm going to try it real quick. I tried to download the video and it didn't work. All right. Didn't work. So let's cross our fingers and hope that when I bring it over from the page, that it. No, it did not work. Unfortunately, sad to say, it did not. Would have really liked. Yeah, you guys would have liked that one. Basically, it's a guy. It's a guy. His name is Tim Black, and he pretty much points out. He's like, first it starts off with Karen Bass saying, talking about how they went to a workplace and they went to a workplace and enforced, I don't know, immigration law, right? And his brother Tim Black basically says, you know what happened? You know what happens to Americans when you have a warrant? They come get you out of your bed, right? They come get you at work. Like people are all surprised that this is what law enforcement does. Well, yeah, you've broken the law. They coming for you, right? That's kind of the way it works. This last one, this comedian. I've seen him a bunch of times. He is. We'll just put it this way. He definitely does the best he can to walk that line between funny and offensive. I happen to find him to be hilarious, but this piece is also kind of reminiscent, or at least relevant, when it comes to the state of California.
You know, in California, they are swearing in non-citizens as police officers. Can you imagine getting pulled over by one? Do you have a driver license? No. Oh, me too.
Yeah, except in California, illegal immigrants are allowed to get driver's licenses. I know. It's the state of California. What am I going to tell you? Anyway, folks, that's going to wrap it up for today. But before we go, we got one last thing we got to do, and that's a quick shout out to our sponsors. We've got Hitman Industries rifle and pistol caliber barrels available for you to purchase today at hitmanindustries.net. We got the California Republican Assembly, the conscience of the Republican Party. Check them out at cragop.org. And then finally, you've got the best in concealed carry tactical holsters available on the market at hogholsters.com. That's helping Americans wear guns. And then finally, you can find all things tactical except the gun at uscombatgear.com. That's going to be it once again for today's program. We very much appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you liking and sharing the program and encouraging your friends to do the same. We will be back tomorrow on Hump Day. Till then, y'all have fun, stay safe, and if you get a chance, send a few downrange. Not at us, but for us. Take care.